Today we'll be doing an introduction or review to clocks and time. So the first thing I'd like you to do is go ahead and scan this QR code to share with me some ideas about what you already know about time and clocks. You may pause this video until you've had a chance to do that. Okay, now that you've taken some time to do that, let's first talk about digital versus analog clocks. Do you remember what a digital clock is or an analog clock? I want you to think about a digital one in your head. And in 3, 2, 1, does it match that? If you did a good job. So if that's a digital clock, what's an analog clock? Well, what's the other kind of clock that you know? Could it be this one? If that's it, great job. Can you think of a reason why it's important to be able to tell time on both kinds of clocks? Well, these days I think most of you are used to seeing clocks this way. This is kind of the easier way to tell time. This says 1:30, and that's what it looks like, 1:30. However, you're not going to see that every place. There are still many places, especially more formal places like doctor's offices, on watches, where you're going to see this kind of clock. So it's important to know how to tell both time kinds of clocks. This one, of course, says 8 o'clock. So now we're going to work on telling time on an analog clock. On an analog clock, there are 2 hands. Okay? What do you notice about those 2 hands? Hopefully you'll say that one is shorter and one is longer. On this clock, one is red and one is black. However, on many clocks, they're both usually just black. Now, each one of those hands has a special job, and they have a special name for each of those jobs. This shorter hand also has a shorter name. It points to a certain kind of number. And this longer hand has the longer name, and it points to a different way to read the number. Alright, do you remember what this shorter hand is called? Okay, we're going to go ahead and use our revealer over here, see if we can reveal it. Did you say it's the hour hand? If you said it's the hour hand, great job. So if this one's the hour hand, it tells us what hour it is. And this longer hand with the longer name must be the minute hand. Excellent. Good job. Alright, now, unfortunately, there's a lot more numbers on a clock, and there's a lot more ways and things that we have to do in order to read a clock. So how do we tell time to the nearest 5 minutes on an analog clock? Well, if you notice here, I have a clock. It's broken down. It's a little simpler than usual. But on an analog clock, we simply tell time by skipping by 5. So each one of these numbers represents passing of 5 minutes time. So we start here at 12. So if we start here at 12, I'm going to use a little man to help me. We start here at 12, then this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and then back up to 0, which is 60 minutes. So if, for example, the minute hand, that long hand, is pointing to the 2, we skip count by 5 and go 5, 10. Oh, there must be something, 10. If the minute hand's pointing to the 10, we skip count by 5, so we get to the 10. We go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Is that right? Yes, it is. It's 50. Alright, why don't you practice? Can you skip count by 5s to tell me what minutes it would be if the minute hand was on the 7? Did you say 35? Excellent job. What if the minute hand was on the 3? How many minutes would it be? Did you say 15? Excellent. What about on the 12? What would it be if it was on the 12? take a look. It's the o'clock. That was a little bit of a tricky one. It's the o'clock. When it's on the 12, we say it's o'clock. Very good. Okay, so here we are on this clock, and now we have even more little lines on our clock, because of course we don't tell time just to the 5 minutes. We have to tell time to all the minutes. Okay, so each one of these represents 1 minute. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now the 5s help us because it helps us give us a little bit of shortcuts. So for example, if we saw the line for the hour hand was here, okay. There, okay. Instead of counting all these tiny little ones, what we would do is we would count the 5s first. 5, 10, 15, 20. Can we go to 25? No, that would be too far. So we're going to stop here at 20, and then we're going to go 21, 22. You see how that works? So this is 22 minutes. It makes it a little bit easier. So let's try another one. What if it was pointing to, how about right here? Okay. What time or how many minutes would it be then? Well, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 51, 52, 53 minutes. Alright, so here's a little matching game for you. Which one, some of my numbers are out here. Which one of my numbers, which one of my minutes here would match with each of these? What about this one first? How many minutes is this? I'm going to start counting by 5s first. 5. Did you say 7? That's correct. Good job. What about this one over here? Did you say 15? Excellent. What about this one right here? Did you say 21? Good job. What about this one down here? It's pretty close. We have to go to the one that's closest to. So I'd say this one right here. What do you think that one is? I hope you said 28. Good job. It's 28 minutes. Okay, there's 2 more practice ones. Let's do this one real quick. And I hope you said this is 36 minutes. That one. And what about this last one here? What would this minutes be? Well, hopefully, if nothing else, you realize that there's only one choice left, and that would be this 44. Correct. Good job. Other than being able to tell time, we also have to know if it's AM or PM. And it's not even quite as easy as saying morning and nighttime, because it overlaps a little bit. PM is from 12 o'clock, noon, or maybe lunchtime, to 11:59 at night. That's pretty dark. Whereas AM starts at midnight, it's 12 o'clock midnight, and goes all the way to 11:59 right before lunchtime. So as you can see, it's a little bit hard to tell exactly when things happen here. Okay? But when you eat lunch at noon, or maybe just a little bit before noon, that's just when it's starting to get PM, right around noontime. Right up until 11:59. But when we hit midnight, that is AM. And that goes all the way up until noon. So think about what are some things that you do between noon or lunchtime and in the evening at 11:59 at night. What are some things you do from midnight to 11:59 a.m.? Is there anything that you do both in the AM and the PM? Think about over here. I don't know about you, but I like to go to sleep before midnight and after midnight, so I'm probably sleeping. during both those times. There's also some other things I do. For example, like brush my teeth. I do that in the morning and in the AM and the PM as well. Okay, last activity here. I'm going to drag out a picture from behind this clock, and you have to tell me if it's AM or PM, and we're going to see if we're right. Going to bed. Is that AM or PM? Well, most days, hopefully, it's a PM activity. Ooh, morning recess. Morning recess. That would be an AM activity. What about getting dressed? Is that PM or AM? That's right, that's an AM activity. Okay. Eating dinner. Eating dinner with your family. AM or PM? That's a PM. Waking up. AM. Excellent. Doing homework. Well, I hope you do this in the PM after you get home off the bus in the afternoons. However, sometimes I guess it might be necessary to do it in the morning if you didn't get it done before. What about eating breakfast? Yeah, that's usually an AM activity as well. Alright, well that's it for today. I hope you got some good background knowledge and reviewed some of your skills for telling time, and maybe you learned something new. Great job today.